What is going on, Cherry Blossom family? You know what day it is. It is Wednesday. I am Derek. That means I'm back with What the Hemp Wednesday. We're going to talk about hemp news around the country and around the world. And today, we're actually going around the world. There's more world news than American news in hemp. So starting January 2nd, the UAE, that is the United Arab Emirates, will initiate criminal justice reforms, reducing penalties for travelers who arrive with products containing THC and reducing minimum sentences for first-time drug offenders. UAE used to be a little tight, very kind of strict with, and a lot of countries outside of the United States are a little strict. I think we're strict with drug laws, and some countries are very, very strict. UAE used to be one of those. They're relaxing penalties for travelers with product containing THC, opting instead for confiscation of food and drink products for first-time offenders. New rules also reduce minimum sentences for first-time drug offenders from 2 years to 3 months after convicts complete a rehabilitation at detention center separate from other prisoners. Let's see. It goes on to say the National, some sort of publication, described the reforms as part of the biggest changes to the UAE laws in history, which was sparked by the 50th anniversary of the country's founding. That was 1971. According to the National Editorial Board, it is important to put these developments in their wider context. The past year has seen a flurry of reforms. In November of last year, new laws to criminalize suicide, changed regulations on alcohol consumption, and boosted women's rights, amongst others. That is fantastic for the UAE. Prison term for drug trafficking remains at a minimum of 5 years. So you can't traffic drugs there, but you won't be in as much trouble if you have THC products there. Let's move on to Malawi. Officials in Malawi drew some real backlash about a week ago for asking former professional boxer turned cannabis entrepreneur Mike Tyson to serve as the country's cannabis entrepreneur. It's pretty cool for Mike Tyson, honestly. You know what I mean? He's at a very interesting road to 2021. So what they're saying is Mike Tyson, due to his 1992 conviction for rape, they're like, we don't think this is the guy that should be representing our cannabis program. Malawi's Minister of Gender, Patricia Kalaiti, told CNN that the government's request to the heavyweight champion is about business and the economic business of cannabis. Now, Kandwani Munthali, he's the acting director of the Malawi think tank, the Center for Public Accountability, CPA, which opposes Tyson and saying it would be disappointing to appoint a convicted rapist. It would be wrong, to appoint a convicted rapist. He said he did pay his debt to society, did put his 3 years in jail, but what we're saying to be the face of the nation is something beyond reformatory. So we'll keep you posted on how that progresses. I don't think Mike Tyson's really made any sort of comment on this just yet, but I think that's probably on the way. So, on the island, I say so across the pond in the UK, they're saying that medical cannabis in the UK would be worth up to like 1.2 billion pounds and create over 41,000 industry jobs and about 17,000 ancillary jobs. What is a pound? A pound is worth about, in comparison to the US dollar, about 75 cents to the US dollar. So each pound is 75 cents to the American dollar. So that gives you a little context. So a report, The New Leaf, Beyond Brexit and Countering COVID, includes a variety of recommendations for the industry, including appointing a cannabis czar or a government agency to oversee the industry, which the group claims would speed up development. The report classifies that under the current regime, customs and other legislative bodies slowed down supply, increased costs, and if the process were simplified, costs could be reduced and patient access would be improved. It also says that officials would provide regulatory clarity around the amount of THC permitted in CBD-only products and proposes such regulatory clarity be done in a way to ensure that it encourages further investment and innovation. Very important. There's very important things, honestly. And additionally, I don't know who Voltface is. Voltface is some publication that's gonna blah, 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 but whatever. So calls for allowing THC percentage up to 2% and as much as 1% for hemp seed varieties, which the group claims will improve the health of the plant and increase the yield of CBD per acre. All right. Well, we'll see what happens with if and when UK gets their medical cannabis program going. I know now they are open and are selling CBD. So we're going to bring it back to the States. We're going to finish here in the States and say researchers have noted, that increases in the clearance rate for violent crimes following legalization of cannabis in Oregon specifically and relative to non-legalized states. Now, what does all that mean? So Oregon has legalized adult use cannabis. And what they're saying is, but studies done, published in the International Journal of Drug Policy, outlined by NORML, that is the Organization for Marijuana Laws, or reformation, of marijuana laws. Research was done by the University of Utah and the University of China, looked into crime clearance rates in Oregon and control states prior to and post adult use cannabis legislation. Okay, so clearance rate for violent crimes represents the proportion of violent crimes solved, meaning when an arrest is made and charges are laid versus all violent crimes reported. So basically the ones that are actually closed or get to some sort of finality instead of just having these violent crimes reported. Now I think what this report is suggesting is that police have more time to focus and opportunity to focus on violent crimes when they're not chasing people for petty drug charges. I think that's the message I'm getting, and I think that's the message that they're sending without clearly saying that. So researchers found significant increases in the clearance rate for overall violent crimes for aggravated assault in Oregon counties relative to those non-legalized states following legalization. The paper titled Recreational Marijuana Legalization on Clearance Rates for Violent Crimes found, however, that positive effects on clearance rates appear to reduce over time, unfortunately. So a little negative and a little bit of positive there, so we'll take it. Either way, that's it for today. That is all the news that we have for you and around the world and even back on over to the West Coast. So we will be back next week with some more What the Hemp Wednesday. Talking Terpenes is over, but if you want to see that, you can find that on our YouTube channel, Cherry Blossom CBD at YouTube. What else? If you would like, subscribe, share, and always comment. We welcome comments. We don't get enough comments, honestly. I mean, I'd love to see some more comments in here. That'd be fantastic. But we do want to interact with people. We're coming back with some really cool education starting in 2022. And just to let you know, probably a little bit of branding, definitely some branding changes and some new products as well. So keep a lookout for those things. We got some exciting 2022 coming. But for now, we'll just have to sign off and we'll see you next week. Hopefully you got some value out of this, but please refer this to anyone that you think can get some use out of it. All right. Thank you. Have a great day. Happy Wednesday. All right. Love you guys. Bye.